No one should have to go through a divorce feeling alone and isolated. The Divorced Girl Smiling podcast is a production of Divorced Girl Smiling, where every show is 30 minutes aimed to empower you, help you feel validated and understood, and connect you with some of the best divorce professionals in the industry. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and start smiling as you join us right now for the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found and always at divorcedgirlsmiling.com. Before we get started, I want to tell you about one of the hardest life decisions that some people face. Should we get divorced or should we try to save our marriage? And so many couples go back and forth for months, sometimes even years, trying to make the right decision. Well, did you know that there's a process? It's called discernment counseling, and it's dedicated to helping you and your spouse make that decision. Discernment counseling is not couples counseling. It's a 1 to 5 session process that will help you decide if you should work on your marriage or get divorced or take a break and decide later. If you are interested in discernment counseling, I would highly recommend Dr. Ginny Wright, who is a clinical psychologist and a certified discernment counselor. I love Ginny. She is so good at this, and she's really, really passionate about it and has the best training for this. So if you want to learn more, you can find Ginny at lwadiscernment.com, or you can find her in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. I also want to tell you about a wonderful app called Circles. I can remember when I was getting divorced, I was just feeling so alone, so hopeless, and sometimes I could barely get out of bed. So when I found out about Circles, I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing app. Circles offers professionally led audio support groups. And here's how it works. You just join, and by the way, it's really inexpensive. With your membership, you have access to support groups all day long and even into the night. You can just pop in, you can listen, or you can participate in as many groups as you'd like. So even if you're going to therapy or you have a divorce coach, this is for those times where you just want a sense of community. You can listen to other people's stories, you can share your story, you can feel heard and validated, you can vent, you can ask questions. I am so excited about Circles. Great idea. If you want to join Circles or learn more, go to circlesup.com/DGS, because if you use that link, you get a discount. So again, it's circlesup.com/DGS. This is going to be a great episode because we don't really have anything planned. So, what I want to do is introduce everybody to my guest, and then you're going to be hearing from 2 people, one male, one female, who went through a divorce, both have kids, and we're going to talk about what we learned, what mistakes we made, and what advice we have for you. My guest is Phil LaGiglia. Phil is a mortgage lender and a vice president for North Shore Trust and Savings. And Phil's been in the mortgage business for 30 years. He's a father, went through a divorce. He's remarried. I'm sort of remarried, but not technically, but I feel like I am. Been with the same person for 10 years. So we might get into some second marriage type topics too. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Jackie.
So, did I describe you in the right way?
Yeah, that was great. That was great. I love how you said there's no agenda. We're just, I've certainly been grateful for the relationship we've had, and it started professional. It is much more friendship, and I just love what you do and all that this Divorce Girl Smiling brings in support, whether it's emotional, mental, self care. all for wellness and healing. And I'm excited about talking with whatever the conversation takes us today.
Well, I really want you to tell my listeners your story because it is so inspiring to me, and I think people will find it inspiring. And I've heard you say in the past, Phil, so I don't think you're going to care that I say this publicly, that you were a terrible husband the first time around. You did a lot of things that you would never do now. And I want you to tell everyone kind of what made you change, how you got to where you are, and how now you feel like you're a really good husband. What's the difference? So, start off by telling my listeners what kind of husband you were the first time around.
Well, I was married for 20 years, my first marriage. Um, and we were married very young. We dated for a short period of time. We're found out and we're blessed to find out we were going to become parents. We got married. It's just kind of what we understood and what we knew to do. Um, and then we had our first. 11 months and a week later, we had our second, and all of that, you know, going out on weekends and having fun together to just over 2 years, having two kids, being married, and having responsibility as early 20-year-olds. Um, we didn't know what we were doing, and we were making mistakes multiple times a minute each day.
All right, but Phil, how did you know that the marriage wasn't working? Was there a lot of fighting? What wasn't working?
We didn't know how to communicate with each other. We didn't understand how to um, speak to one another. I never believed we were comfortable and trusting each other. We didn't have a long dating time together, um, and there was always the um, you know expectation of what we each wanted from each other without clearly communicating what we were feeling or what our emotions were, and then reacting and attacking each other when we didn't provide it. And that was the majority of our 20 years. Um, you
All
know,
right, now let's move on to when you knew you were gonna get divorced.
yep.
What was that like? I mean, for me, it was the scariest thing in my life. I was like, "Oh my gosh, wait, what? My parents were married for 58 years. Now I'm getting divorced." It was what were you feeling?
Well, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but we went through 4 different divorce periods in our 20 years.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It started uh about 3, 4 years after being married the first one, and then it was intervals of every 4 or 5 years doing another until the last one we completed it. And again, it was so difficult because I know my ex as well wanted to have a family. We were grateful for these kids. I was continuing to grow consistently in my career and doing very well. We had many things. We just struggled so greatly to be on any connectivity together, any type of we're partners together. And looking back, I'm going to take full responsibility for what my participation in is in that. Um,
Okay, but if you were separated and got back together 4 times, you obviously really wanted it to work.
yes.
And so okay, so when you were so the question I asked you, were you shocked? Were you scared? How did you feel? It was kind of expected. You had already been down this road so many times that you probably were relieved.
Well, it was a double-edged sword. There was a relief after all this pain and hurt and time, but also there was a fear and worry that this actually happened. Like, oh my gosh, this really did happen this time, and there is no going back. And
Okay, now you say you took full responsibility for not full responsibility, but your share of the responsibility of why the marriage didn't work. You told me that you were not a good husband.
no, nor was I a good father. I
Mhm.
I just was very self-centered. Everything was about me. I certainly was narcissistic. I was manipulative. I wanted to do the things I wanted to do when I wanted to do them. And I wanted to uh, have her be okay with that without being accountable to what she needed. And Jackie, I didn't even understand what she needed. But the problem was I didn't care to understand what she needed. And that was just, uh, it's just a horrific response to be what should be a all together, all in as one partner. And
Wow.
oh,
I mean, Phil, there's not too many guys that would come out and have this kind of self-awareness, and it's amazing, and I'm sure a lot of people listening are feeling so refreshed, like, wow, there are certain men out there who are willing to admit their faults and look in the mirror and say, "Wow, I was not a good husband." Because believe me, you probably know a lot, Phil, of men and women who are getting divorced who are like, "Oh, I'm getting divorced. It was not my fault. She just wasn't the right person," and they just make every excuse in the world except for to look in the mirror. But when we come back, I wanna hear how you changed, what made you change, what you did, and then why your marriage works now. This is gonna give so much hope to so many people, so we will be right back. One of the most stressful aspects of getting divorced is feeling like your spouse might be hiding money. To hire a forensic accountant or to have your divorce attorney do that can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and a lot of people either can't afford it or they don't think it's worth it because it's so costly. Well, guess what? The Divorce Money Guide has you covered. Developed by well-known forensic accountant Tracy Conan, the Divorce Money Guide is an online tool to help you find out if your ex is hiding money. It's a 10-step handbook that walks you through what to do to find the money, and you walk away either with a complete sense of relief because you know your ex isn't hiding money, or you walk away with proof that you can give your attorney, who can now take action to make sure your divorce is fair and equitable. I'm telling you, this is a no-brainer. If you want to learn more, go to divorcemoneyguide.com/divorce. I also want to tell you about a wonderful divorce coach. I love her. Her name is Janine Marie Powell. She's the founder of SOS Divorce Coaching. Got divorced several years ago. Really understands the struggles, the heartaches, the financial stress that comes with a divorce. After her own painful divorce, she decided that she didn't want people to feel alone and paralyzed, and she wanted to help people navigate life after divorce as a single mother, which she is, by the way. So Janine is a certified divorce coach and a certified divorce transition and recovery coach. She's a pre-mediation divorce coach, so she can help you figure out what you want and what to say in mediation. Love Janine, trust her so much. If you want to learn more, you can find her at sosdivorcecoach.com. And of course, you can find both of these wonderful professionals in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. Today I'm here with mortgage lender and divorced dad, Phil LaGiglia. Phil is a senior vice president for North Shore Trust and Savings. He's been in the mortgage business for 30 years, so I want to give him a plug and tell you, if you need a mortgage, definitely work with Phil. He's a great listener. I went through the process with you, Phil. I didn't actually do a loan, but you got me approved and everything. And I didn't do a loan because I didn't want to work with Phil. I just ended up not working out. I didn't do the deal. But I um would highly recommend, because I have worked with you, Phil. But what we're talking about today is a little bit of everything. We're just two divorced people talking about our divorces, what we learned, what mistakes we made, and what advice we have for you. All right, so let's continue with your story. So now you're getting divorced. Tell me what mistakes you made in the actual divorce process.
oh my gosh, how long is this podcast supposed to be? So, you get such tunnel vision in your pain and hurt, and all you want to do is, unfortunately, feel like the only answer to overcome that pain and hurt is getting one up on or being able to better your future ex. And that is literally the worst thing that I could have ever done, because of not only what it did to me, what it did to her and I on all levels of what we still were connected on, financially, relationship wise, other family relationship, but most important, what it did to our kids and how it really devastated them, and really broke them down to some significant pain and emotional hurt that we were blinded to because we were so focused on ourselves. We were so just in this war, and it didn't matter the collateral damage. All we cared about was winning against one another, which was devastating to everybody around us and to ourselves.
Okay, but what year was this?
20 so we started in the end of 2008, and it ended at the end of 2011. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
Yeah, 11. Yep.
okay, so I got divorced in mine started in 2007 and ended in 2008, almost 2009. And I want to say, Phil, that I had a similar experience, but and I'm not saying that either one of our behavior was right, but here's what I want to tell people listening. Divorce is so different now. You There are so many resources that can help you be good co-parents. There are different divorce processes, there are divorce teams, there are so many people working in the divorce industry to try to prevent the kind of experience that both Phil and I had. You've got divorce mediators, you've got mortgage lenders who specialize in divorce, divorce real estate agents, divorce coaches. I mean, I needed a divorce coach so badly. They didn't even exist in 2007. Wasn't even a profession. But now you have a chance, if you're listening to this, to have a really good, amicable divorce with a smooth process and a good outcome and minimal damage to your kids because you'll be really good co-parents. Do you feel that way too?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's so much. I mean, I just being part of your partner group within Divorce Girl Smiling, and being educated and enlightened with all the different professionals that bring services that I wouldn't even thought about, that are such necessities. I mean, you said so many. One that I was thinking of that wasn't mentioned was the partner that you have that supports the mitigating and the management of who gets the pets and how to take care of the pets, which I love. I think that's so important because we went through
Oh,
the same thing, like,
right.
and there's
Oh,
so
I didn't know that you guys had a pet issue. So I just want to give Karis Nafty a plug. Karis Nafty is the founder of whokeepsthedog.com, and she's a pet behavior specialist for 25 years, and now she's a pet mediator. So she helps divorce lawyers with their cases, she helps mediators, and she can help you directly if you're having issues with what to do about your pet in a divorce, and she also wrote a book of the same name called Who Keeps the Dog. But
yeah,
you're right,
she's a great
Phil.
professional, great professional.
And you're right. There's so many different specialties like that. Whatever you need if you're getting divorced is available to you. And that's really why I started Divorce Girl Smiling, to put all these wonderful people together so that you can go on Divorce Girl Smiling and shop. Basically, shop for professionals. Look at their bios. Say, is this somebody that maybe need to work with that can help me have a more amicable divorce where I can be a better co-parent. I mean, and by the way, they're all vetted by me and my advisory board, which include the advisory board includes Phil.
Which I'm grateful to be a part of.
Okay, so we both had these divorces that just ended up making us not good co-parents. And then what else? Did you spend a ton of money in your divorce?
All of them. All four that we went through over 20 years were extremely financially draining. And you know, it's another part of what is preventable if you let go of the little things that really cause the cost to increase significantly, where at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. Hindsight is, of course, is full wisdom, but I would definitely just take a step back. You know, one of the things you asked me, um, what happened? You know, you said in our conversation just now, most men would not come out, most people would not come out and just take that accountability. And I didn't at first. I had the laundry list of every reason why I was right, or the divorce was not my fault, or I was justified in my actions that were against my marriage, and all the other things that you hear people say. But when I finally, um, you know, by God's grace, in my faith, which you know how important it is for me, in my relationship with Christ, I realized that my joy came from not hating and being reflective towards everyone else, and start looking at myself in the mirror. And
Okay, so
yeah,
you get divorced and you're still kind of fighting and angry and bitter. Where did that transition happen? Because I want to tell my listeners, Phil found God, got therapy, worked on himself, repaired all of his business things that were going on, and really made a good life for himself. And then ended up meeting the love of his life, got remarried, has a completely different marriage. So, how did this transformation occur? Was there an aha moment?
there was. It was actually in the middle of going through the divorce, and Um, I went to a church. I was asked to go to church. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I went for alternative reasons that had nothing to do with why I was asked, and everything changed from that day, all by the Holy Spirit and what happened for me. And I started understanding love, not in the sense of what I thought it was, which was serving me, but I started understanding that love is serving others. And in that relationship with Christ, as it continued to build, I literally tried reconciling with my first wife. And I hurt her so bad. I mean, you know, this is a short podcast and I'm being general, but when I say I was a horrible husband, uh, on an emotional and mental level, I hurt her so bad that there's no way she could have believed me at that time, and I don't blame her. And so we followed through with the divorce, and in that, I continued to move in that process of wanting to express love that wasn't about me, but it was given and servant to others. And God brought JC, my wife today, into my life.
How
And
did you guys meet?
such a great story. I'm literally at one of my last court appearances in 2011. And she had been divorced for a few years, and she was unfortunately there because her ex wasn't following through with the agreement. And so we were at the same county courthouse, different judges, didn't know each other. I was a big gum chewer back then. I'd left my gum in the car. I'm walking up and down the aisle and the outside of the court area. And on the bench, I'm looking to see who's chewing gum, and she was the one chewing gum. So I walked up to her and I said, I don't mean to bother you, but you got another piece of gum.
I don't buy that for a minute.
I'm telling you
I
that.
think you saw her, you thought she was really cute, and you thought, "What can I say? Okay, she's chewing gum."
Well, she is really cute. But I would tell you the truth. That's exactly what happened. And at those county courthouses, they have very few benches, and there's so many people standing around. Well, as I'm asking her for a piece of gum, the person that was sitting next to her got up. I sat down. She gave me the gum, and her and I talked for 2.5 hours together. My court, my case was the very last one in my court, and hers was the second to the last. Now, she's a very shy, reserved, introvert woman, not any type of woman I've ever dated before. And it's such a blessing because um, what I thought that I just explained to you who she was is the exact opposite inside the house. She's she's boss lady and she knows what's up. I mean, she's awesome. Um, and I'm thankful for that. Um,
I cannot believe I have never heard that story that
oh,
you
it's great.
really met your second wife in divorce court. That is so we need to do a whole podcast just on that. That's
There's a lot more to it that we won't get into now that you will love when you hear it. But we met. We I wasn't looking to date. In my faith, I wanted to be married. I wasn't looking to just be interacting carelessly or certainly frivolously with individuals. She was looking for the same. She wanted to date to marry like I did. We dated for a year, got married. We've been married for going on 13 years. She had two children from her first marriage, younger. My two were older. Um, it took us a few years to get that right. There was a lot of pain, a lot of counseling.
well, blended families are very difficult even for the happiest of couples.
Yes.
Very, very difficult. But Phil, what I wanted to tell you and share with my listeners is that I feel like from listening to you that you went into this marriage as a different human being, and that's why it was successful. JC is getting the best version of you. And you're probably getting the best version of her if she worked on herself after the divorce, which I'm sure she did, just hearing everything I know about her. And, that's a big thing. When I got into my now 10-year relationship that I've been in, I didn't even care. I said, I'm 49. I was turning 50 in like 4 months or 6 months. And I go, if I'm alone for the rest of my life, that's okay. I'm so happy. I had worked on myself. I was doing well in my career. I was a good mom. I felt comfortable. I had so much therapy and it just felt like to me, I didn't need someone. So when I met my now guy, it was kind of like, wow, this is a surprise. And just so I was ready. I wasn't really looking, and I was such a um self-sufficient, self-confident person who wasn't desperate. And I think that's what people always say, like, I want to meet someone, I want to meet someone. Just make sure that you have worked on yourself and you are the best version of yourself, and that's gonna translate into a really good, meaningful relationship.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say is to all you shared, which was really really spot on, is don't and when they tell you when I'm angry or frustrated at work, I walk away from my emails because I don't want to write the email with that emotion. Or if I write it, I won't send it and I'll go back and I'll fix it when I don't have the emotion. Okay. There needs to be time as you deal with the emotion that you have gone through or still dealing with from the divorce or as you're going through a divorce to not just jump into a relationship with somebody. Let yourself heal. Let yourself have that time. Because if you really want to truly find somebody to have that relationship with that is, you know, being one together, and there is no, the ships are burned and we're going to figure it out. And I can trust you. You're going to be my best friend. You want to be in that position of sound mind and decision making where emotion and feeling does not support that. So let yourself heal, give yourself the time, go through counseling, understand the triggers. One of the things I share, JC's a different person than I've ever dated in the past. My trigger was finding someone because of some of my upbringing that I got comfortable with chaos and I didn't know how to exist without it. Was dating someone that would bring chaos or that can support my chaos. That's not who my wife is today.
Right, bad
And
patterns that you
yes.
learned how to not look for. Now, you're telling people, Phil, like, work on yourself, make sure that, you're ready before you get into a relationship. But I want to tell people listening, that doesn't mean that Phil and I are telling you our advice is that you should sit home every night and not have any fun and not date. Just make sure before you get into anything that's like really meaningful and serious and meeting the one, that you have worked on yourself. While you're working on yourself, it's perfectly okay to go out, go on dates, get together with people socially. We're not telling people to be lonely. That's not good either.
Agree.
But when
Yeah,
you
but there's a difference between giving of yourself an expectation of being in a relationship and just being friendly and interacting with others. That feeds the need that we all have because we're made to interact with people. We weren't made to be alone. But,
right.
that importance of not compounding the hurt by adding it because you got too quickly into something else in the expectation that it was going to be what you're looking for and want, and then all of a sudden you're crushed again. That's just not
Okay, but
that's
how
not
many people,
beneficial.
Phil, do you know that got divorced and got remarried within the first couple years and then they get divorced again?
Too many,
I mean, 70%,
too
really.
many.
And so I can understand, so for people listening, we don't want you to be alone. We just want you to be the best version of yourself because then you're going to have the best relationship you've ever had. I think that's a good way to end things.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, but we have to tell people if you are looking to buy a home, sell your home, refinance your home because you're going through a divorce, you got to get in touch with Phil. And Phil, what's the best way?
Well, you can contact me through email, Philip with one L and then L. So PHILIP at NorthshoreTrust.com. My cell number,
Philip with one L, but Philip L.
correct, at
Okay,
NorthshoreTrust.com.
because I've done that. I've written you emails and they come back. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait,
So
okay.
it's Philip, PHILIP, and then L at, so Philip L at NorthshoreTrust.com. Or
Phone
you can,
number?
phone number is 630-936-3245. And one of the things that's unique with us and why I'm so grateful to be part of this platform as a partner with Jackie is that we have customized programs that are specific to cater to divorce needs relative to housing, whether it's the existing house or your new house, as you go through this process or have ended it. So reach out to me so we can connect. We do business in 46 states, and we certainly would love to be able to help you be part of being able to get to that next new step of your life and be comfortable in your new home.
Love it. Phil, I loved our conversation. Thank you
Too.
for taking time.
I feel like you and I were just talking on the phone on a Saturday morning,
I
and then we're
know.
like, "Oh, I gotta go do appointments. I'll see you later."
I know. Great to see you. And to my listeners, you can also find Phil in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling, which is divorcedgirlsmiling.com. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.